All right, that's good. And then I'm going to, sorry, I have multiple screens here. I'm going to share my screen. All right, here we go. Everybody can hear me, hopefully. I don't see any um, videos, but that's okay. I'm sure I would hear if someone said, no, they can't hear me. But thank you. Welcome. My name's Alex Thor. Normally I do this presentation at the conference, but I was playing with the dog in the backyard with the kids and realized I'm not as quick as I used to be. So small injury, all good shape now. But so today I'm just going to run through what I would typically run through at the conference that I missed in Denver. To talk about the ag tours we do with NACAA and talk about the one tour that is available to the Dominican Republic for next year as well. So I'll kind of run through that itinerary, show you on a Google map where, if you're interested in going on that trip, where you'll go in the DR. Definitely not the all-inclusives. You're going to see agriculture while you're there. And then I will also share a couple of documents, just as the one I have right now on the screen. I'll show that one as well. So we'll just run through it. And then at the very end, I will do a Q&A. So having said that, I've got multiple screens here. So I'm going to see if I can move this over. Here. All right. Okay, so here we go. For those that are not aware, or if you haven't been on one of the trips for many, many years now, we kind of a memorandum of agreement. Someone's trying to join. There we go. We have a memorandum of agreement with NACAA, NACAA, doing these tours. And the way that works is basically we brand it as an NACAA tour, and there's a 10% commission that's added into that on top of the tour price. So what it does is it allows trip leaders to travel on a complimentary basis and generate, you split the 10% with NACAA. So 5% goes back to you, 5% goes to NACAA. So I'm going to go over this one pager real quick that answers some of those simple questions. And then I'll go over the Dominican Republic trip, and then I'll just open it up for a Q&A. So as you can see here, travel around the world, increase your community agriculture awareness, travel with other ag professionals. You get a reduced or complimentary trip. 95% of them are complimentary trips. Lots of cultural experiences. You get to choose your destination, so on and so forth. So these are the biggest questions we typically have. And I zoomed in here. How does it work? Well, we help you select a destination. If you don't have a destination on your mind, where you would want to go and what time of year it would be the best place to go, we will suggest something. So if you wanted to go to Ireland, we'd probably suggest like spring or fall, maybe even going into early summer, but not peak summer and obviously not winter. But and we can explain what you'd see, what would be growing, all that type of stuff. How much work time, how much planning time? We get this question a lot. There's very little. All agents are very busy. We know this, in the office, out in the field, so on and so forth. So there's very little workload on your end. We create the registration page, the itinerary, and handle all the logistics. All you have to do is share within your local county and surrounding counties to see if you can get enough people to sign up. Also, NACAA will also publish this for you on their website and send a group email out to everyone in the country as well if you need help recruiting folks. Because typically we're looking for about 20 travelers is ideal. and that keeps the cost down, and that way you have a nice group size. How do you market the trip? As I mentioned, we will provide materials for print, social media, all that stuff. Mainly, we have the itinerary in the registration page, and that just works because it's just a link you can select, copy, throw it on Facebook, group email blast locally, however you want to do it. How do you answer questions related to the trip? Actually, you don't even have to worry about that. You just send them our way. You just reply via email or give them our phone number, and we will talk to them and answer all their questions. We get tons of questions all the time about what to pack, what to wear, all this stuff, and flight questions, all that good stuff. We handle. We'll field all those calls. You're not going to have to deal with any of that or all those emails. Can community members bring friends and family? Yes, 100%. We highly recommend this to make sure you meet your numbers. We definitely want to make sure that the folks in your community, if they have friends, family, because a lot of times people want to travel with their friends and family, tell them it's open to them as well. Now, it's an ag tour, of course, but we're also visiting a lot of cultural and some of the touristy things you would visit on a typical tour with just a regular travel company. So a lot of friends and family that are not in the ag space, they still enjoy going on these trips because they get to see what they would want to see, but they also get to see some unique agriculture, farm to table lunches, all kinds of good stuff like that. Let me go up here to the top. What if we have single travelers? If we have a single traveler sign up and they're looking for a roommate, then they just basically let us know. And then if we have several single, same gender, then we just kind of match them. They can call each other, talk about, let's say they get along well and everything works, then we just put them in a room and you don't have to pay that single supplement fee. Do you need to be a specific fitness level to travel? You don't. However, most of our tours will have like an activity level on them, and we'll go over it beforehand as to how much walking you'll be doing or not. Typically for the farm visits, we're able to kind of pull into the house or maybe close to the barn or the fields on the bus. So we just kind of get off and talk there. There's not a whole lot of walking on the farms. The more walking you'll get is when you're in, let's say, you wanted to go to Italy and you're in Rome. Well, you're going to do a city tour in Rome. You're going to have to do about a 2.5 hour walk to see most of the sites because the streets are narrow and buses are not allowed down them. So you have to walk. So if some people can't walk that long or they still want to go on the trip, then what we tell them is, hey, if you're going on this trip to Italy and during the Rome city tour, if you get tired, you hang out at a coffee shop, people watch, relax, and after the tour's done, our local tour guide will come back and pick you up. So that's kind of how that works. Will I incur any cancellation expenses? No, not at all, because we don't take deposits until the trip is a go. So we make sure we have 20 people. And then once that happens, we send a group email blast out to everyone stating that the trip is a go. This is the next steps. Book your airfare. These are the airport codes, so on and so forth. And then we'll send an invoice to them for their deposit. But let's say we have only 5 people sign up for a trip that the pricing was based on 20. We just group email everybody and say, unfortunately, we didn't get enough travelers. We cancel it. Nobody's out. There's no financial commitment. And we just cancel all the hotels and buses on our end. I like the idea, but I'm too busy to travel. No problem. We can help you find a community member to be the group leader, or sometimes what'll happen is I've talked to agents that are too busy, but then they find someone within their office and they'll be like, hey, I think this would be great for the producers in our area, but I'm too busy. Would you be willing to do it? And it's worked out well. Like they'll find a staff member or someone in a surrounding county that will do it. And then maybe the next year they'll do it. But typically 9 to 18 months 9 to 18 months out is what we plan for any group trips. Because most folks, if they're doing an international trip, and that's what we're talking about mainly here, they're going to do one a year. It's a big trip, of course. That'll be the big trip of the year, so they want to plan ahead of time. And I talked about this earlier. Does the local extension office get revenue from the trip? Yes, 5% goes back to you at the extension office or anywhere you want that money to go. Some people have put it in local 4-H. Some have donated it back to a specific committee with the NACAA. It's completely up to you where you want to put that money. And then why choose us? We are basically an agriculture-focused company. We're almost 20 years we've been doing this. We know the farms, we know the hotels, we know our guides locally. Well, this is what we do. That's all we do is work with folks in agriculture. So half of our business, so to speak, is probably study abroad groups in college level. And the other half are groups like this, adult groups through associations like this, or state farm bureaus that are taking their board or president somewhere. So different levels of type tours for student level versus adult level. So now what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can open up the chat real quick. And okay. So in the chat, I added this document just now so that you can have it for yourself if you want to snatch it up, or I can send it later as well because this is a recorded video and I can attach these as well. And I'm also going to throw in there, and I'll switch over to this, share this tab. Also share this one document. Basically, it's just kind of what I talked about, but except on the back, it has all of the destinations that we travel. So you can see anywhere where it's safe and there's good agriculture, yeah, we can run programs there. So something to think about when you look through all of those. I definitely don't recommend for a first-time tour. A lot of people will be like, yeah, let's go to Australia or Japan. Those are big trips, expensive, long flights. I suggest staying somewhere close. When I say close, I mean more readily available, more abundant flights and affordability somewhere in Europe, or if you want to stay even closer, somewhere in like maybe Central or South America for first time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to the... So NACAA puts a trip together for themselves every year that they just push out to everyone. It's not, there's no specific group leader or anything like that. So I'm going to show you that one real quick. Switch over here. All right. I'm a cartographer by trade, so anytime I can show a map, definitely have to. So as you can see, short flight about, off the East Coast, it's usually about 3 hours down to the Dominican Republic, even shorter if you're coming out of Miami, of course. So about 3 hours, 2.5 hours, we fly into Santo Domingo. So here's the DR, of course. We fly into Santo Domingo. We spend a couple of days there, and then we travel up. There's a huge mountain range that goes across the whole middle of the country here. So we do that. And then we do we go up in Arabacoa, which is kind of like coffee country, higher altitude, more kind of like a cloud forest type environment. And then we come back down near San Francisco de Macorís. This is kind of like chocolate area. There's also rice plantations, all that good stuff. And then we make our way up to, zoom in here, Santiago, which is here. We base ourselves here as well, which is the second largest city in the country. And then we do visits out to Monción and in and around Santiago. So this is tobacco country. So any cigars coming from the Dominican Republic are coming from this area. Bananas, cassava, stuff like that. And so you'll see that that type of ag while you're there. And then you'll make your way back down through Bonet and then back to Santo Domingo. You'll also visit out in this area as well, around Chireno. I didn't put it on the map here, but you'll visit out here as well. This is pineapple area. There's also palm oil as well. So a lot of that's from there. You'll be shocked, but when you go and all the way up here to Multiplata, we actually go up to Multiplata, so you'll be there as well. The DR is big with baseball. There's a lot of Dominican Republic players in the MLB, so you'll see a ton of baseball fields there. And if possible, we will go to a baseball game. We just have to wait on schedules and stuff like that. But that's quite the experience. All the Major League Baseball teams have facilities in the Dominican Republic. Like the Cincinnati Reds has their facility, the Blue Jays, so on. Everyone has their little training camps down there because they develop a lot of players that come to the U.S. But I did want to show you that and make that little note. Let's see here. So I'll just run through the itinerary real quick. Arrival in Santo Domingo, one transfer offered at 5. Problem with this is that there's so many people coming at different times, but you can easily take a taxi down into this. The airport's not far at all from Santo Domingo, but we stay in the Colonial City, which is really nice. Oldest city in the Americas there. You'll do so basically a welcome dinner that night, and then the following day you'll do a Colonial City tour. So multiple plazas, cathedrals, real nice, real pretty. Looks like something out of Europe. And you'll visit Three Eyes National Park as well. So on Monday, that's when you hit the ground running, leaving Santo Domingo, and you'll visit an organic pineapple farm and banana farm. You'll have lunch in a local place, and then you'll go to a palm oil facility. Palm oil is huge there in the DR. So you'll see a commercial scale operation of that. And the pineapple farm is quite large as well. It's probably, I'd say it's a medium scale, so several hundred acres. The following day is take a guided light waterfall hike. So basically you'll be traveling after this day, you travel up to Jarabacoa, the coffee country I was talking about earlier. And then in the morning, you'll take like a little light. This is not a proper hike. This is just kind of a flat trail that leads to a nice waterfall that all of our folks do. And then we'll do a hands-on cooking class, local ingredients. So you get to learn a lot about the fruits and veggies they grow up in the mountains in that region. And then you'll visit a coffee facility that afternoon with, of course, a coffee tasting. So you'll learn how they taste coffee, and grade it, and all that good stuff. The following day, you'll leave. So that's the coffee and the waterfall. And the following day, you'll do chocolate facility that day, have lunch there, then make it to Santiago, which is famous for, like I mentioned before, tobacco and the biggest agriculture schools there, the art scene, all that good stuff. But really nice, centrally located hotel that goes right up the street, up to the main square and all of that. So everything's walking distance, very nice. Following day, cassava production, as I mentioned before. Eat at a local restaurant overlooking the mountains, nice, real pretty area. And then we'll do a local walking tour just to get a little vibe. Part of these experiences are to, show you what these cities actually look like, not just in the touristy areas. So you'll kind of take a walking tour in a neighborhood that it's kind of an impoverished neighborhood, but they'll tell you about kind of the culture, and you'll talk to locals and those type of things and learn about the history. They'll emphasize how baseball is a huge part, the #1 sport in the country, and a big part of the culture there as well. Next day, just like I was talking about earlier, that college in Santiago, you'll visit the college, take a tour, so you can really compare and contrast what the best DR college looks like compared to some of the amazing facilities we have in the States. But it gives you an idea of what they're doing there compared to what we have here. And then in the afternoon, visit with the Tobacco Institute. This is like something, it's like you're going into some like lockdown Switzerland type area. It's really nice. High end, of course, because a lot of premium cigars are coming out of the Dominican Republic. So there's a lot of international players that come in and out to buy tobacco from the hand cigars from the Dominican Republic. The following day, it's like there was a typo in here. The city tour was the day before. Actually, this day is travel south. You'll visit a rice farm. I'll have to fix that. I'm not sure how that happened. And then you have a farewell dinner in Santo Domingo. Trip costs $26.50. If you've been on some of our trips before, you know we try to keep it as affordable as possible, and this is one of the most affordable we've had in many, many years. We're trying to keep that cost down. A lot of costs in Europe have gone up 30% since COVID, so that has risen prices a bit. But these are kind of your deadlines, all that good stuff. The rate, single supplement, if you're traveling by yourself, you would tack that on to this $26.50. And then what's included, not included, all that good stuff. So like I mentioned before, if we do an itinerary for you, for let's say you're out of Illinois or something like that, we would do a specific one to a country that you would like. Let's say it's up here. It would say, let's say you wanted to go to Italy. It'd say, you know, Italy Agriculture and Cultural Tour hosted by John Smith, and the dates. That's the way it would be if you were running your own program. And like I mentioned before, we also do registration page. So this is the registration page for the tour that I just talked to you about. So it's a custom link, has the pricing in there, all the payment schedule, all that good stuff. And basically just you folks go in there and just fill out their information, all that good stuff, address, insurance quote, emergency contact, any special requests. It tells you about your airfare here, and then click submit. And then once that happens, an automatic email comes to us with all that information, and then it also goes to you as the group leader, so you can kind of track how many people have signed up for your program. So that's how that works. So having said that, I will stop sharing and I will open it up for any questions. You can also, in the chat, I'll just put hello in there. You can ask questions in the chat if you like, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions as well. Hopefully I covered everything, but sometimes I forget a few items. So I'll open that up. Let me move this screen over. Jennifer, yes. I think you're muted. Let's see here.
Yes. Hi, I'm Jennifer Shooter from Missouri. And some of my Missouri colleagues and I have talked about a trip to the Hawaiian Islands where we could see multiple islands and agriculture on the different ones, including like the Parker Ranch, as well as horticultural type things, maybe some marine things. But what do you think of that? That's domestic. So is it okay to plan a domestic tour, or do you mainly do international?
No, absolutely. We can do it. You know, Hawaii and Alaska, they're amazing. They're beautiful. We've done trips to both of them. The only thing to consider, they can be pricey because they have to import a lot of things, which raises kind of the price. But if in the ag tours we've done to Hawaii prior, ideally you would go to Oahu, which is Honolulu first, and do the ag there, and then go to the Big Island, do Parker Ranch and all that good stuff, and some of the marine stuff is ideally the way we would do it. We would not do a Maui or a Kauai because the hotels are already expensive, but they're even more expensive on those two islands. So we focus on Oahu because there's just a lot of good ag from all the way up to the North Shore. And then we do, on the Big Island, we do loops. So we still base ourselves in Kona, which is on the west side, but we do a one loop one day, we do another loop another day, and then we do like a free day type of thing. So it's completely doable. Just note that the price tag will kind of be high because Hawaii is not cheap.
So what are you thinking more like 4,000 to 6,000 a person?
Yeah, probably something like that.
Really? Okay. Yeah, we were actually thinking Kauai because that's known as the Garden Island,
Yeah.
and then the road to Hana on Maui. So I guess those two
Well, we can
islands.
go that route too. It's just price wise, we just need to see kind of what we can put together. And I'd be happy to work with you on it and come up with an itinerary. Ideally, what we do is we get an itinerary first and we go back and forth. Sometimes I go back 10 times until we get a version. Sometimes it'll be 2 times that we like. And then I'll work on the pricing and then kick it back to you and say, what do you think? Well, maybe we need to, that works, or maybe let's shave a day or 2 off to help, reduce the cost a little bit so we can just talk about it. But
you already know
those other 2 islands because they're great too.
You already know it's going to be about 4,000 to 6,000 a person, though. I think my colleagues might be like, no, that may be a little high.
I mean,
you already know it's going to be about that.
You're probably going to spend 10 days. You're going to kill 2 days on a 10-hour flight going out there. So domestic flights as well. If you can get, most everything's going to go through Honolulu, probably better fares, so to speak. And then you're going to take the puddle jumpers over on Hawaii Air. So yeah, I would say something like that, but we'd have to first look at dates and then push it out there and see what kind of pricing we get back. Okay. So I don't know if I think it'll be in that range, but we definitely need to check everything before I confirm on that.
And then another thing, we've also talked about Alaska, like an agriculture tour of Alaska, if there's enough agricultural things to see there. But that too would be we're looking at 4,000 to 6,000 a person for an Alaskan trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Alaska's usually around that 3,500 and up. I don't think it'd be as much as Hawaii, but typically in Alaska, we do another loop as well. And all the ag is in Palmer, which is just northwest of Anchorage, and then east of Fairbanks. So those are the 2 big hubs, so to speak. So you can mix in some horticulture, some, obviously traditional ag, agronomy stuff, cattle, stuff like that. But you have a short window to travel up there, but you also want to everybody wants to see Denali National Park while you're there. So that means you have to stay at one of the hotels. Unfortunately, the cruise lines have bought every hotel around Denali, except for like 1 that we would take people to. So they charge $400 a night, $500 a night. And that's just what they do because they have the demand, because they're already bringing the people off the ship that have already paid for it. So the people that are driving through, you're just kind of stuck because you're in Talkeetna in that area, and you really have very limited accommodations. They're beautiful hotels, but you got to add that in there as well.
Okay. One more. I have a colleague that's also thought about Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia. Have you done trips to that part of Canada?
Yes.
Agriculture.
Yes, we have. More affordable than Alaska and Hawaii for sure. Easier to get to. So that could be another option, and it could be, and the flights will be cheaper too. So it'll be more affordable. So
maybe we should consider that. Okay. Thank you,
Jennifer. I've already sent him an email about it.
Oh, you're on. I didn't know you're on, Kate. Okay.
Oh, wait, great. Kate. Yeah, I saw that. You emailed Donna the other day about that. So, yep. 100%. The idea with that is what time of year do you want to travel? Obviously, it's going to have to be between spring and fall, but just when do you want to go? Do you want to go 27, 28, 29, whatever year? But just give me about 9 to 15 months out, we can put something together. All right. Thank you. Margaret.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. First of all, I've been on several of your trips and I love them, and I highly recommend anybody go on one if you can. My question is, if we are familiar with some of the farms or some places that we would love to go and take a group, is that something we can work on together, or do you have your set places set and we have to pick from that?
No, not at all. There's several times where someone will reach out and be like, I had this contact at this farm or this facility. I would like to make this visit incorporated into the itinerary. Basically, the way that works is you just shoot an email to that individual, copy me, and then I take it from there and I'll handle everything else. The biggest thing we want to do is make sure logistics work properly. I hate backtracking. So if we know you say you have 2 farms or a facility here and a farm there, we would go to one. We just want to make sure logistically we don't have to backtrack to get to all of them. So we just want to make sure, okay, we'll hit this one on day 2 and the other one on day 6 or whatever, because it might be on the opposite side of the country or wherever we're traveling. So, but that's perfectly fine. Not a problem at all. I cannot honestly say I know every single farm and facility all over the place. So there's always new ones popping up, and people have a lot of colleagues and friends. Some people even have, family members that are, 3rd generation. They came from the Netherlands, but their cousins still live there, and we end up visiting their farm, so to speak. So there's always some connection like that.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Right. Oh, someone added in the chat, I would like to add that February is carnival in the DR every Sunday. So there you go. An extra bonus there. Let me read this other one. So I'm interested in going into all these places. I'd like to focus on a horticulture tour, open to timing, overwhelmed by choices. Also have a volunteer group that would like to have some input on that. So the best thing to do is just shoot me an email and we'll set up a time for a conversation to go through what options you would have, time of year. And if it's horticulture focused, I'll give you, several options in different geographic regions so that you can figure out which one works best for you in your area. So, folks out of Florida might not want to see similar horticulture that they would see there, whereas folks in, let's say, New York State would like to see some more tropical hort or something like that. So, yeah, I can work with you on that. And I will put my email in the chat, and we can set up a time for a call to review all that stuff. Thank you, Emily. Any other questions out there? Like I said, if this is something that you're just you're thinking about and you might not travel for a year, 2 years, 3 years, just keep this in your back pocket. You never know when the opportunity comes where, like, okay, I've got a little window to travel, so maybe this is the year to do this, so to speak. However, there is a lot of other trips, like currently right now on the NACAA website, there's probably, Scott, I think 3 or 4, Dominican Republic, Italy, Holland, I think somewhere else, but I'd have to go back and look. General question, we know the ideal minimum is 20 people. Do you have a preferred maximum? Maximum typically 30 to 35, depending on the trip. And the buses are usually around 50 seats. If you get a huge majority, some years we'll get 70. Then we just run 2 buses in tandem, mainly because as Americans, we like our space. So we don't try to jam everybody in to one bus and you're all cramped. So that gives people room to spread out a little bit. So that's the reason we do that. So yeah, 20 to 35 is that magic mark. So yeah, if you do go onto the NACAA website, go to professional development, it should list all the other programs or tours that are available. If you're not ready to do your own, you might want to jump on one yourself. So you can jump on one of those.
Another question about the Dominican Republic. Will there be any beach time?
The beach time, unfortunately, there will not, but many people will probably come in pre or post. So come in a few days early for beach time or stay a few days afterwards for your beach time. That's typically what most folks do. And the reason we don't do that is because most of the beaches are at all-inclusive resorts. So it's harder nowadays to get day passes to get in there for 25 or 30 people or something like that. And since it's an educational trip as well, we're focusing on the ags side of it. But if you want me to recommend several beaches in the DR, I can suggest several places to go if that's something you want to do after the trip.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Carol said she's interested in Southeast Spain. Yes. Sounds good. A lot of good ag down there. Any other questions out there? Oh, one last thing, the Dominican tour in February, of course, ideal time to kind of be down there. The summertime right now, it's so hot and humid, but that time of year, it's usually low 80s, maybe mid 80s, but much less humidity. So more bearable. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. You've got my email there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll send this out to Scott once it's done, the link, and he can send it out to everybody. And with the PDFs as well that I put in the chat. So I want to thank everyone for taking some time today to review all this good stuff and hope to see you on some future trips and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Welcome. Let's see here.